Welcome back, Freelancers, Undefeated Rescue, and we're continuing the Gear Showcase series. Right now we're in Storm, and if you can't tell, we're having like a little Storm party. We're all just hanging out. But we'll go ahead and go out and showcase the gear. Okay, so let's go to tracking. We are in GM1 right now, and we are continuing with the Blast Seals. So we only got a couple things left. I think it's Eternal Squall and it should be Hailstorm Renewal, which we're going over today. So Hailstorm Renewal. Upgraded Ice Blast hurls chunks of ice. Defeating an enemy instantly restores 75% of gear shield. And it's a primer, so you can prime with this. And it does about 3,000 damage. So that's not actually bad for so in the game. In this game, most gear pieces that are ice usually do very low numbers of damage. This isn't anything specific, but it's not bad. So if you kind of look over at which questionably is like the best gear piece for the Storm in the game, it does about the exact same. So it actually does more because the damage for Steam Vent is 3,500. Whereas Hailstorm Renewal is... Oh, okay, it's less. I was thinking 37. It's 31. So it does about the same amount of damage, which is really interesting. The thing is... And it also primes. So that's actually pretty... That's probably one of the best ice gear pieces in the game. Whereas if you look at like Winter's Wrath, which kind of does the exact same thing, it's about half the damage. So... And its Masterwork perk is it just has more and it charges faster. Where with this one... If you defeat an enemy, you'll get 75% shield back. Now, here in the description, it doesn't denote whether you have to defeat an enemy with this gear. It doesn't actually specify that. I'm going to show you that so you can kind of see it, so you understand like what exactly the requirements are for it. But just so you understand, like I don't have any extra damage on this one. This is my test build, so most of everything is in armor or gear recharge. So. You might be getting, hopefully you're getting more damage out of this than I am. I'm kind of showing you like the bottom end of what potential damage is. So I've got a couple gear recharges on this one. I've got another one that's got a lot of damage on it with good recharges. This is typically the one I would use because I don't know. I think if you got like an extra charge on things, you should be pretty good. But we'll go ahead and go in GM1 and I'll kind of showcase how effective it is. Ooh, I'm gonna have to come back and get those. So, okay, yeah. So basically, it's gonna hurl out like a cluster of chunks of ice, and if a majority of them hit the enemy, it does pretty good damage. As you can see, we're getting about 8,000 damage per enemy or per hit. Sorry. So that's pretty good. And then, as you can see, they're primed, so I can just go detonate them. And then because I'm a storm, it's going to chain it to all these other suckers. And I can just take them all out. So, not bad. I've made a couple builds better on this in the past. I've had fun with it, but like I've kind of talked about in other videos, like your mileage could vary on that one. We'll go ahead and try and take these guys out. In close range, it works really well. Here's where the weakness will showcase. You see how like over a distance they kind of spread out? So you kind of want to treat it like a shotgun. A shotgun of like all the Storm's like abilities is you really want to get up close and hit them there, and then essentially you should take them out and get your shield back. It's going to be hard for me to showcase the Hailstorm's Renewal's like Master Perk ability because in GM1 because I'm not going to lose a lot of armor, or sorry, not a lot of shield very quickly. Let's go ahead and take out this storm because I know there's another one. Actually, yeah, we'll showcase this one. So against shields in GM1, takes shields down perfectly fine, and because they have that dome around them, their shield. Oh, and they primed. Just gonna take them out. Because they've got that, it makes it easier to hit them with all the chunks, which is why I believe it did a lot. Okay, so this is an ice elemental. Let's see how it does against them. So it's still doing damage, even though they're technically ice resistant. And it will freeze them, so. Okay, nice. And then like right here, you see this grouped up. So one of them died, one of them almost died, and they were primed, and then the other ones it just didn't hit. Let me... Oh, And because it has such a low recharge, it's not too punishing if you miss. But, I mean, like, you're probably going to hit... I could actually probably... Let me see if I can hit one of these guys from back here with this. I did. I hit one of them. They got a shield, so they didn't get frozen. But so that's kind of like, if you see a big group, just hang back and just start tossing them. It looks like there's a little bit of a range issue, but pretty straightforward. It takes down shields really well, and then primes them pretty well. One of them's prime. Okay, well, I just killed both of them instantly, so whatever. Let's see here. So we got fire elementalist. Yep. So in GM1, I'm pretty much showcasing you can use this on its own. you don't need anything. Okay, so I'm out of charges now. Well, I got one back, but so it gets its charges back pretty quick. And then you can pretty much use any detonator. It combos pretty well. And then if you're having a little bit of crowd control, you just toss it in a group, freeze a bunch of them, and then detonate them and chain the ice effect to all of the surrounding enemies. So really good for crowd control. Just really good on its own though, taking out like the grunts. So I don't know if you're watching, I am getting my shield back every time I defeat an enemy. So I'm going to let him tick away at me while I get some charges back. Hopefully it doesn't get too chaotic. So I'm about half shield right now. And then I'm going to try and take him out. And then I got all my shield back. So like if you got a lot of charges on this and a lot of damage, you're pretty much invincible. You're never going to lose your shield. I specifically in this build, I took everything off shield. It's only on armor and recharge right now for most all of my inscriptions. However, I am running out of charges, so let me get some charges back and I'll show it off some more. Now this might showcase a little bit differently in GM3 because I mean the enemies would be a lot stouter there. But I mean overall, like I don't think I've had a shield break yet. Let me go ahead and get rid of this storm. I think we've kind of showcased the death of the storms and how well it does against their shields. So yeah, I'm just going to stand here and just take it. Okay, I've only got my hand on the mouse right now. I'm not going to move. I'm just going to sit here hovering, tossing snowballs. And see how I'm getting my shield back immediately? Assuming you can take them out. That's the trade-off. You have to be able to kill them. And see, right there, I defeated them with... or not with Hailstorm Renewal. So because the way the perk works is it doesn't specifically say it only gives you health back. What I'm seeing here, and I'm able to showcase, is that it only works if you defeat them with Hailstorm Renewal. Alright, let's check it against their shield. So, pretty good damage GM1, about half their shield for a primer. I mean, primers usually aren't about damage. Let's see if we can prime them. So it doesn't look like they're primed. It's just doing normal damage to them. Are they frozen? Let's see. Well, I should have used them. Oh, that's too bad. It looked like they did get primed. We didn't get the proc, which is kind of just whatever. But it did look like it primed them. GM1, they usually don't have a lot of resistance. So we'll go ahead, back out, go into GM3 and showcase Hailstorm Renewal. Okay, so tracking. All right, so we're in GM3. And we're still going over, well, I don't need to show you that. We're still going over Hailstorm Renewal. And we'll test it out in here. Okay, so. Alright, the numbers aren't too bad if you can hit them with the majority of the ice chunks. Let's try it up close. Yeah, not bad numbers up close. Oh, I still hit it. Darn. Ooh. We gotta wait for it to come back. Yeah, not very. It's not even freezing them. That's odd. Okay. Let's try these guys over here. Okay, one got froze, and then chained them with primer of ice. Okay. So, okay, damage. Nothing too incredible though. Let's see down here. Yeah, nothing too special. If you can get pretty close to me and do pretty good damage. Let's check out the elementalist. Ugh. That's about a third. That's okay. I wouldn't say that's good. It's just okay. And they should be frozen. Detonate them. Yeah. Not really a damage dealer, but it's a primer. So we'll go ahead and... Ooh, okay. Wow, they're just not getting primed at all. Did they change elements on me? They did. That's why. Okay. Ooh. So, yeah, GM3, a primer, not doing a lot, but that's not really like, other than being a primer, it has a utilitarian use of getting my shield back. So as long as I hold on to one of these charges and am able to take the enemy out with this, if I'm able to. Oh, come on, no. So this is kind of an issue with these things too, is if they move after the initial throw, there's no tracking on it, so it's going to completely miss. And because it doesn't do a lot of damage, oh, whoops. Because it doesn't do a lot of damage, it's hard to really... And I've already got my shield back just from hiding, so... No, not a good damage dealer in GM3. You're gonna have to use this as a primer. Okay. So let me clear out that guy. I don't want to deal with him right now. And then let's see. Nope. I'm getting my shield back too fast. Okay, let's give them a second and kind of showcase. I didn't get my shield back from using black. It's not black ice. It's the other one. But anyways, that's what I really want to show off is I need to defeat them with Hailstorm Renewal to get my shield back. So there, I got my shield back. I'll stand up here and take some more damage, and then I'll show you. I'll defeat them with my other gear to show you that it won't give my shield back at all. Okay, let me get over here so they're all shooting at me. I should get my shield down pretty quickly. Okay, so my shield's down. Oh, I had to go line cover. And see, I'm getting my shield back, but I didn't instantly get it back, which tells me it's not giving it to me unless I use Hailstorm Renewal. So you do have to use Hailstorm Renewal to get it back. That's kind of a downside. It would have been nice if it kind of fell with the description of if I defeat an enemy, I get it back. But that's not how it works, unfortunately. Which kind of limits it a bit. It kind of makes the Masterwork perk hard to use. But at the end of the day, it's still a primer, and it's still pretty good. And I feel like because the Storm's chaining ability is like its innate ability that it gets, it can be more effective, especially with ice. At least for crowd control. So I'm going to freeze pretty much everybody in the area because it changed, so that makes it pretty easy. And then because of that, it gives me time to like kind of get some charges back, and then I can use this to come along and get all my shield back. So it has synergy. It just... I would have liked to have seen the Masterwork perk be effective as far as like everything, and then that would give you some versatility on your builds. So we'll see if we can just freeze all these guys real quick. So we only got like 3 out of the... Well, we got all of them. So it can kind of do what Winter's Wrath does, because I feel like it compares to it pretty well as far as freezing a group. But because it can do decent amount of damage, it makes it viable in other builds as well. It's gonna kill them. It does. Okay, that stinks. I'm gonna try and get my shield back there, but whatever. So, I mean, realistically, there's nothing too special about it. It just has some neat features, but I don't think it's gonna be very efficient. Because so here's the thing with Winter's Wraith, you kind of get that projectile dome where you're gonna throw this dome. As soon as you press the button, it goes, and there's no tracking to it. So, yeah, you kind of have to like line up and position yourself specifically. But yeah, I've killed several enemies without Hailstorm Renewal, and I'm not getting my shield back. So like right there. I got 75, if not more, it seems like, of my shield back from just killing him with Hailstorm Renewal. So it only applies to it, which is a downside in my opinion, but it doesn't make it unusable. It's still usable for sure. But I'm gonna go ahead and clear out the rest of these guys, and we'll just go on one-on-one with the javelins. I'd rather get rid of this fire one as soon as I can. And they went right down to that. Shoot. Keep moving around. Uh-oh. Okay. Jeez. GM3. Really giving me the business. And see, here's where I'm having some trouble, because they keep going behind cover. I can't really hit them, so it doesn't go through. And then my shield just goes away immediately, because it's GM3. So this is kind of where I see this Masterwork perk being really useful, is when you can find an enemy that you can pretty much get down to next to no health. It's very tanky. Man, they're just not missing. I gotta take this storm out. Okay, because I killed them, I got my shield back. So it's giving it back. It's just it's hard for timing wise to determine when you'll get it back, because you have to kill them with Hailstorm Renewal. So it's a really good primer. I'm gonna give it that, and then I'll kind of go. Oh, okay, nice. But we'll kind of go over afterthoughts after I clear this area out. And it also makes it hard too, like for testing. This isn't really going to be like an issue you're probably going to see in your gameplay, but I'm trying to only hit the enemies with Hailstorm Renewal that I want to take out. So I'm not trying to hit the javelins, which is kind of making it a little bit difficult. So it's not super accurate because it's got that spread. So if you're trying not to hit enemies, which would not seem like something you would want to do, it could be an issue. But like I said, I don't think in your gameplay you're going to be trying to intentionally miss enemies like I am. And that's the thing too, it's kind of like with like the mortars that the Colossus has. If you're really far away, it takes a second to get over there, which forces you to be very situational on your positioning. Oh jeez. Alright. I might just take this one out. And it missed, so whatever. Yeah. Okay. Oh, come on, stop. They keep like going right over to the ranger. Okay, let me get my what? They had to have gotten their shield back like right before I hit them. All right, finally. Okay, let me get my shield back. I think this ranger's doing an all right now. Yeah. Okay, so let's test it against the ranger GM3. Okay, so a 6 of their shield. Yeah, approximately. So let's go ahead and get their shield down. Alright, shield's down. They're about to do their ult. Let me kind of throw this side. Okay. Okay, let's make sure they get their shield down. Wow. Okay. About 5,000 depending on how many you hit. Because you get, and it primes them right away, so that's nice. Decent combo damage. But that's going to be based on the javelin. Wow. So not great against armor, not great against shields. And then like right here where I'm going one-on-one, this is where you're going to suffer with this. Is I'm not going to get my shield back. I'm not going to get the Masterwork perk to proc because I'm going one-on-one with a very tanky enemy. So you can kind of, this isn't the monitor, this isn't a stronghold boss, but you can kind of get an idea of this is what you're going to be dealing with. Like this is just going to be doing damage at this point. It might potentially prime them, unless they have a really high resist, but at this point, like it's kind of just useless. It's not useless, it's just not as useful as other things could be. I think because it does more damage, it's more useful than Winter's Wrath. But if you're going up against Stronghold boss and you're trying to deal with them, this is not going to be very helpful to you. I'm even having trouble with Steam Vent. So, it kind of gives you an idea. Try and finish them off with Hailstorm Renewal. Keep moving around so it's hard to hit them. Get some charges back. Damage up. See if I can take my shield away. They're frozen right now. Okay, so shield's gone, and I got my shield back, 75%. So yeah, that's a little bit of trying to force something, which I'm not a big fan of. But we'll kind of go over checking the boxes real quick. So, Hailstorm Renewal. Is it efficient? That's the recharge isn't bad. Hold on, let's take a look real quick. Let me land because I'm gonna overheat and I hear this crazy sound in the background. So, Hailstorm Renewal. Recharge isn't too bad. It's a 7. It's a little higher than I like. I like recharges that are a bit lower. Plus, it's not the most punishing one, right? Binary Star is the most punishing. And then Eternal Squall and Planetary Infinity, which are detonators, so they don't really I don't feel like they're in the same classification for Black Seals. They have a 10. Everything else is less. So like Winter's Wrath, it's less. And then it's Masterwork perk, which is pretty much always available, is it gets more charges and it recharges faster. Where this one, all it does is give you your shield back if we're comparing the Masterwork perks. Because I think these two are the main competitors. The thing about Hailstorm Renewal is it does pretty much double the damage. But its recharge is actually doubled as well. And it doesn't really have a radius. Where with Winter's Wrath, you have that dome. You'll have that dome that you can put over. Where with Hailstorm Renewal, you don't. So, like right here, I gotta wait for it to recharge. Okay. So you have this dome that you kind of project with. You kind of have to know, like, you can't just hold it. So like as soon as you hit it, but you have a general idea of what it's gonna be. Where with Hailstorm Renewal, you don't really have that. Oh, that's why I need to stop hovering. You don't have that, right? It doesn't really. So here's the thing: it doesn't really have a radius because it depends on how close you are to the enemy. It's a shotgun of ice balls, basically. The closer you are, the more likely you are to hit them with the. I think there's 5 ice balls or ice chunks of ice that you throw at them. There's 5 of them, and each one of them does whatever damage. So it's good because it can do a lot of damage and potentially do quite a bit of damage. But the issue you're going to have with it is unless you're in their face, which, I mean, for the Storm, inherently, the Storm playstyle, which not everyone plays like this, because I know there's melee Storms out there, is you typically want to hover over them and kind of keep some distance. Sorry about this. I got to land again. I never switched back. Okay, so you kind of want to hover, and you basically want to keep distance, because at the end of the day, like, the way the Storm was designed is to be a glass cannon. It's supposed to have a lot of damage, and kind of they take a lot of damage. Now I know there are builds around that don't really work that way, but inherently that's kind of how its design is. So you're typically not like up in their faces like you would be with the Ranger or the Interceptor. Potentially even the Colossus, depending on what your setup is. So I don't think you're ever going to get max potential out of this unless you're standing right in front of them. And then even then, like, almost every single detonator you have is meant for long range. I think Steam Vent and Black Ice are probably the only 2 that aren't, because there is a range to them, which we'll go over when we go over in those videos. They can only reach so far. With Hailstorm Renewal, you can pretty much... I was seeing like a limit, but you can see like it went all the way to the other side of the arena, over the arches, and is landing on the other side. Now, I think it has the same kind of range as Steam Vent and Black Ice, but it still can go pretty far. So it's not very efficient. Is it viable? Well, it's a primer, so it's hard to say a primer or a detonator is not, because it still applies to the combo system. And it does a decent amount of damage, so it could potentially take down shields on its own, which is pretty interesting. The Masterwork perk is going to be a little iffy on how... It's a little difficult to obtain, because you have to defeat the enemy with a primer, which... If it were a detonator, it would be easier, because typically when you detonate somebody or an enemy type that's already primed, you will do a lot more damage, which means you'll more than likely defeat them from that. So it's easier to defeat enemies with detonators than primers, depending on what your build is. So it's viable. I don't think with its Masterwork perk that it's hard to use. I think if they would have put that, if they would have changed that perk to is if you prime an enemy type with it, you'll get 75% shield back. That might be a little too meta though, but that would make a lot more sense and have a lot more synergy with the way the priming system works. And then, is it fun? I think it's pretty fun. I think it's pretty fun chucking snowballs at people and freezing them, and then detonating them, because you got a lot of different detonators you can use. So you can even make a melee build with this, because you can kind of hover over the battlefield, freeze a group, and then come down and detonate them with your melee. And then reprime them with whatever, and because now that you're in their face, you know. So there's a lot of different. I think there's a lot of different versatility about what you could do with a build, but on its own, I don't think it's very efficient, and I think it's fun. I think your mileage is going to vary though. It is kind of hard to use, and it's hard to make the Masterwork perk serviceable, or hard to make that proc. So for this one, I'm gonna give it a thumbs up, but I'm kind of hesitant only for the fact that it only feels like it's going to work for niche builds, and I don't think that you're going to get a lot of mileage out of it. I don't think anybody's going to get a lot of mileage out. You can make a build around it, but there you go, then you're making a build around it specifically. It probably wouldn't hurt to buy like one out of the store when it comes through for like 2,000 coin, but I wouldn't try to get too many. And the good thing is you're not really trying to get a specific roll for anything, because the recharge is okay, the damage is okay. I would go more for recharge, because I think it works better as a primer than a DPS. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on there. I don't really have much else to say about it, so I'm gonna end the video here. But Hailstorm Renewal, yeah. Hope to see you guys out in Bastion. Later.